so important. My name is Shalloway, and I'll be presenting this short presentation. I want to start with looking at how our organizational structure is. In most organizations, we have a hierarchy. We have the kind of folks at the top, the C levels, then down to the directors, and then down to the people doing the work. However, our workflow is actually quite different from this. Some idea comes in, to the organization, it gets approved, and then it kind of cuts across different parts of the organization, getting approval at different points as we go. But more or less, the workflow goes across the organization, even though we're managing our people from sort of a top to bottom method. Now, how does this cause a problem, or what happens? And we actually, of course, have more than just one piece of work flowing. So we manage this way, kind of from a top down, but our workflow actually goes this way. What does this do? Well, let's look at this. When you're in a hierarchical organization, people are going to manage what they see. They're going to look to see how busy their people are that they're managing. What's their productivity? What's the quality of the work? This is pretty natural because, it's what they're there to do and what they can see. But what we really need to manage is the time to market. What's the effect of upstream groups? In other words, before it hits the development team, what are the business analysts and the product owners doing to create the requirements? Or what's the effect of the development work on operations and support? But we don't quite see this. We do try to manage it, but we manage it in an indirect manner because we really don't see this so much. So the question is, who's managing the value? And what happens when we don't manage the value as well as we might? So if we take a look at this, as we can see what we call the value stream, this is, if we ignore the organizational structure of the people and we just look at the flow of the work, that's what this is called. We want time to market, of course. We want it to go from the left to the right. And we call it the value stream because on the left there's really no value at all, except maybe the concept, the idea we have. On the right, we're actually able to deliver it. And by delivering it, we can actually achieve the value at that point. So it's the value stream because we see value is being added as we do the work. But the question is, where is our time being spent? And in fact, our time, of course, is adding value when it's at a person, but there's all this waiting time in between. So we add value, we wait. We add value, we wait. Now, I shouldn't say we wait because we don't. We're busy. People are very busy. But value is added and then it stops. The workflow stops until another person's available to hand it off to. So if we shift from the people to the workflow, we see that even though everybody is busy, all the people we're managing are quite busy and doing things, the workflow itself is starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping because people are typically working on more than one thing. The question is, of course, what percentage of our time do we spend working versus waiting? How much is the value stream, so to speak, being delayed because people are busy on other things? How would we even know what this is? And that no one is actually managing this in most companies. And this actually turns out to be a real problem. Because the question is, what happens when adding value is delayed? What happens when work just stops? Like if there's a long time between getting requirements and using them. The requirements can degrade. We can actually have to redo some of the requirements, or we build the wrong thing, or we have not as good an understanding as we might like to have. If we write a bug and it doesn't get tested for a few weeks and therefore is not detected for a few weeks, it takes a lot longer to fix the bug later. Actually, the fixing time is the same. It's typically the finding time. Same thing with integration. If they get out of sync, then what happens is it takes a lot longer to fix, and teams have been known to get into a thrashing mode because of these delays. So these delays are somewhat insidious because we don't manage them, we don't really see them, and yet they cause this additional work. And the whole picture is actually quite a bit worse. There's not just a couple things going on, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And actually, the more stuff going on, the busier people are, the more we're managing our people to be quote unquote productive, the more things we have in place. And actually, in a sense, the worse we're making it. So we could take a first order solution, and in a lot of ways, Agile and Scrum tends to do this, because what we can do is say, let's not worry so much about the high level management, let's create cross-functional teams that can get the job done. And now notice what happens. A lot of the waiting just goes away, which is good. We do things in 2-week increments or 4-week increments or whatever you're doing it as, and we can actually, by having a cross-functional team, remove a lot of the handoffs, a lot of the delays, and this is really a good thing. But it's only a first order solution. It doesn't solve everything. It leaves the problems of how do we handle dependencies across the teams. It leaves how do we handle product portfolio management. What should we use there? How do we guide the decisions on what to work with and make sure we're load balancing the teams properly so we don't introduce new delays between when we're going to do work and when the teams can pick up the work. How do we actually feed the teams this work? Do we do it where we give the teams what they need and they coordinate it? Do we give the teams in a coordinated fashion ourselves? And of course, how do we best integrate across the team? How do we do continuous integration? So a lot of things are left out, and these actually cause some severe problems. In fact, on reflection, I think you can see what we see happens a lot is that the first order solution results in team level agile being reasonably successful, but it doesn't really take a lot of steps toward the enterprise-wide agile. And this is a lot of what our issues are, a lot of what our challenges are. So we have all these things that we don't solve with just the teams going, and we need a higher view. And that's really the point of this talk, is that we need a higher view of how to look at the workflow. We can't manage it if we don't see it. Managing indirectly is not as powerful as managing it directly. Now, this is just a short webinar on stating why we have the problem. If you're interested in learning about, well, what can you do with it now that we see it, please contact me. We have a series of other webinars and talks that actually show how to solve this problem using Lean. And this is really the nature of our business, is how to go beyond, mere team agile that can be effective while not resulting in enterprise agile that's really what's needed. So thanks again for being here, and I hope you're listening to me soon or giving me an email, and so we can chat about what might be helpful for you. Thanks.
Thanks for watching this lightning webinar brought to you by NetObjectives. We're committed to equipping our clients with effective business-driven software development methods so they can be more successful. Please let us know how we could help you. Visit us at www.netobjectives.com.